Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. I'm so delighted you have found me. I have some new subscribers and some new viewers, and I very, very much appreciate the support. Please keep the likes, subscriptions, and comments coming in. It's just a thrill. And again, thank you. So, I have a question. This question is about Trump. What is it about him that causes the ideas and the attitudes, the behaviors? I mean, we've all heard the titles. He's a misogynist. He's, narcissistic. We've heard those. But I wanted to do a little bit more of a deep dive into kind of what goes on in Trump's head, what he thinks, and kind of why he is the way he is. So when I do this kind of a reading, I don't do it in a specific card layout. It's much more free flowing than that, in part because this kind of a reading really applies to the intuitive aspect of the readings I do, as opposed to the specific card meanings and how they, fall and whatever in their place. So you might see me throwing out cards. I might put out cards and not comment on them at all. I might, put out one card and yatter on about it for 3 or 4 minutes. So we're just going to do another couple more quick shuffles. And I'm going to do this, as I said, deep dive on Trump. I got to tell you, it's a scary place to be, okay? It is not the most comfortable of feelings to kind of immerse yourself in Trump's energy. When you do that and you come out of it, honestly, it really does feel like you need a shower. You just feel a little slimy and a little gross, and you just really feel like, I need to get rid of this energy. So I'm going to bring the camera down, and we're going to do the cut, and let's go into that scary, scary place called Trump's psyche. Okay, so Trump. What causes Trump to be the way Trump is? What's the story there? Well, certainly his behavior now, which is accelerated and even more extreme than what it has. So what it was before he sort of entered politics. He's very trapped right now. He doesn't really like what he's doing. It's not what he thought it would be. He doesn't like the restrictions. He doesn't like being, told you can't say that, you're going to, send the stock market into a tumble. You can't say that, it's going to antagonize your allies. He doesn't like the restrictions. He really, really likes the sort of free flowing, I'll do what I want, I'll say what I want, and, people don't have to believe me. In fact, I don't care if they know I'm lying. I'm just going to, this comes from somebody who is simply trapped. This comes from somebody who has a great deal of praise for his own thoughts and talents. I mean, this is a guy in some ways, okay, he can't function. We all know he can't function without a cheering squad. But honestly, sometimes what goes on in his brain excels any cheering squad you could come up with. He is just so full of praise for himself on one level. And he really is living in a world of fantasy, illusions. He doesn't see reality. I saw something really interesting as I was watching the last video I did upload. I was watching, it's a channel called Ring of Fire, and they were talking about Trump's own internal polling with regards to the upcoming election. And it is showing that he is in really, really, really big trouble. And the way he has chosen to handle this and the way he has um, he has directed his staff to handle this is to just lie. Just say the polls are wrong, they don't have it right. He has internal polls and they say he's doing fabulous. Okay? His own internal polls apparently show that he would lose an election to Joe Biden in Texas. Woohoo, Texas! Way to go! That's awesome news. But in Trump's world, that is not reality. It's not the truth. So, let him go. He's going to live in this silly little fantasy world where he's paranoid and the whole world is attacking him and nobody understands him and nobody gives him credit for his brilliance. And it doesn't matter, how often he gets surprising news or bad news, or he just blows it off. He doesn't care. He's unconcerned. He is more and more in isolation now than he has been, and he has been in pretty significant isolation so far. But that is going to, despite the fact that he's going to sort of officially start his re-election thing, so he'll be out and about more, but he's not going to be kind of available for anything or anybody that is not specifically going to promote his chances of re-election. As far as other, interviews, reports, anything like that, it's going to start being completely geared to the re-election. If he's not working on the re-election, he's in hiding. He's behind closed doors. He's not saying or doing a lot publicly. Okay, for some of us that really could be a blessing, but I'm just saying. His perception of the truth is really, really based on his version of it. He thinks that lying and misstating facts is just normal and accepted behavior, and we all do it, so why shouldn't he? And he doesn't understand that, we don't all do it. That's not behavior that most of us want to emulate. It's certainly not behavior that we would like to set as an example for our children, our grandchildren, nieces, nephews. He's very frightened of the truth coming out because, there's a lot of things he's stolen. There's a lot of things he's done wrong. And he really, really is scared. He's running scared now. He's starting to realize that these investigations are not going to go away. Even his own Department of Justice is having to back down in terms of giving certain committees information because they just don't have a legal leg to stand on. So he's becoming more and more frightened of exposure, more and more frightened of the harsh light of the sun, because he recognizes that he is. Don't kid yourself. He knows he's a con man. He just takes great pride in the fact that he's a con man. Okay, I mean. I know people have used the, sort of analogy of the Wizard of Oz, but honestly, with Trump, it's a really, really good and accurate depiction of him. He knows what he is and isn't, but he's able to spin that within his own mind. So even those things that are negatives become positives for him. But he knows he's a crook. And he knows that he is stealing from the American public. He knows that he's in trouble with the emoluments clauses. He knows that Jared and Ivanka have benefited in ways they never, ever should have. He knows what he's done wrong. He just likes to tell himself it wasn't wrong because he did it and he wanted it. And that's all it takes for him to get something. He just wants it. Simple as that. And here we have, events changing quickly. And this is interesting because, on the one hand, he's sort of like the king of chaos. He wants everything in a mess and he wants energy scattered all over the place because then people don't have the energy and the time and the focus to actually focus on the crazy. He just keeps shooting out so much of it, you don't know how to catch it. I mean, you just can't absorb it. But on the other hand, one of the things that appears to be interesting is he seems to be almost like slowing down. He's in a little bit of I almost want to say, sort of a retreat, mentally. Okay, maybe it's a big retreat mentally. But what I'm saying is he seems to be having trouble grasping when information is given to him too quickly, or a situation changes suddenly and dramatically. It's like he doesn't seem to have the capability of switching his thoughts in his brains quickly. It very much feels, and it's interesting because it doesn't feel that it's like drugged and sluggish and he can't put one and one together. It's like it's revving too fast. He's only taking in half sentences, half words, a quarter of the thought. He's moving too fast internally, mentally, to the point where it's dangerous because he really does not have a grasp on what he's thinking or the ramifications of it. He is that person who has gotten what he has wanted his whole life because his father had money and he was a bully. And the combination of those two things created the perfect storm for a Trump Frankenstein. Okay, it just did. Because he was a bully, he could push people and manipulate people and maneuver people. And because his father had money, that paved the way. And so this has been his pattern of behavior his whole life. I mean, literally going back to, childhood. And so, wow, he just, he wants what he wants and he feels that he's entitled to it and he should get it. And more's the pity that he has raised his children with exactly the same standards and beliefs and thoughts about how just special they are. Aren't they wonderful? Okay, what is the deal with Trump and strongmen, the Putins, the Cheese, the Kim Jong-uns? What is his story there? Like, what on earth? Okay, so this is, he believes the success of his previous business endeavors, okay, and I'm not actually saying they're successful because I don't for a second think they were, but in his mind, the success of them had to do with his ability to make friends, to be somebody that other people wanted to be seen with, wanted to talk to, wanted to have in their circle of friends. And so that's something over time that became really, really important to him. It was how he determined if you were on the A list or the B list or, some other list way down the road. And it in a nutshell, it boiled down to, if you like me, I'm going to love you. And I'm going to be your champion until you stop being my champion, and then you are like cut off at the knees. So it's with him, it's all about confirmation that he's wonderful and that he's important and he's special. And so the leaders from overseas, okay, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, nor do you have to have a psych degree to figure out that this is what motivates the man. He just has this unending need to be loved and accepted and adored, and he's the smartest, he's the most brilliant, he's the most successful. Well, all these other countries, they have like analyses, like, emotional analysis, mental analysis, that kind of thing, personality analyses that are done on all the other leaders. Okay, whatever country you are, you probably have these reports on every other country, on the planet. Well, it didn't take very long for people to figure out that, what we had here was a Wizard of Oz. We had somebody pretending to be what he absolutely wasn't. He's not skilled at it, he's not good at it. And so that makes him sad. It makes him sad. Poor boy. And what happens when he gets sad is then he gets pushy and aggressive. And when people won't play ball with his ball, he's going to take his ball and tootle on home. Um, and the slightest slight is huge. A country, a leader of another country can be making a decision based on what is good for their country. But if it in any way insults or minimizes Trump, that's it. He is not capable of separating what is personal and what is political and what is business. To him, they're all mushed together, and he gets upset when he's not loved, and then he lashes out. He likes partnerships. And he likes partnerships where he can be seen as the strong guy, where the judgments never go against him, where, he's in a position to judge other people, but nobody dare judge him. He likes those kinds of partnerships. And sometimes, and because he likes those kind of partnerships, he is not clever enough to understand that he is being played by pretty much every leader of every other country in the world. They have his game. They understand his strategy. He's been making an ass of himself for 2 years now. People have his number. People know him. They figured him out. And now he is just being played like a fiddle because look at yesterday, I think it was that they came out with the information about, how Trump backed off on the Mexican tariffs, but he saved the deal. And it was amazing what he did. Well, yeah, except for what he's claiming that he had this big win on had been established months ago. He had nothing to do with that. But he fails miserably. He gets upset. Then he grabs something that he can claim as his. He can claim as his victory. That's what he's about. It's just as simple as that. To him, illusion is everything. The picture of the happy family, the good father, the good husband. Okay, I don't know where he thinks he actually qualifies on those two, but bless his heart, he seems to think he does. It's all illusion to him. It's all a game. He really does see his presidency as a reality show in, 24 segments, episodes a season kind of thing. His emotions are becoming more and more volatile. He is less and less able and capable of keeping them under control. He reacts more and more violently with every disappointment. And as the disappointments pile up, his behavior becomes more extreme and, more charging in without any consideration for the results, the consequences, the intentions. He doesn't care. He just has to maintain all attention and all focus on him. As soon as it starts to shift, he is out of control. He's disappointed. He's cranky. His staff start telling him lies to build him up. So not only is he living in a world of delusion, but his staff, frankly, is encouraging him to live in a world of delusion because you know what? It makes their life easier. And frankly, a lot of them are just tired. They're worn out. He thinks he's actually going to have great success going into the White House in the next election. He really believes that he is going to be reelected. And again, his polling numbers, his internal polling numbers say, yeah, you're going to have a big problem. And he hears it, takes a smidgen of it, like 1/16th, and then he spins a story in his brain, And that over a period of time becomes his truth. So, good on him. He thinks he's going to win the White House. Excellent. You keep thinking that, buddy, and you keep doing the dumbass stuff you're doing, and let's just see how successful that is for you. He really wants to be a king. He does. And he has no understanding about what it actually takes to rule with heart versus being a dictator. He likes dictators. You know, he doesn't want people to have any opinion other than the opinion he tells them that they should have. And that opinion, of course, would jive completely with his opinion about whatever it is. There's a part of him that's really anxious to sort of almost leave the presidency so that he can monetize what he believes is as his success. And in fact, I would not be surprised that if the Trump organization started experiencing real increasing financial difficulties in the next, 12 months, that may actually become a reason for Trump to decide to not run or, not work too hard at running or really just want to step away. He's actually more concerned about missing the boat. You know what I mean? Like there's only a certain period of time where he can monetize and take advantage of the title president. And he's scared if he stays in office too long, that ship is going to sail. And he is not going to make the money he was hoping and planning and intending to make, because as we all know, running for president was nothing more than a publicity stunt for him. To him, it was a commercial. He's actually really scared of his behavior coming up to bite him. He's greedy. He's selfish. He doesn't want to share. He's completely ruled by money, and his whole strategy in life is swim out of trouble into new clear waters. So, I'm sorry, America. I am. You've got a real idiot for a president. Having said that, he's not in a good place. He's not going to stay in a good place. I mean, it's a continual deterioration. I did a reading a while ago, quite a while ago actually, called Death by a Thousand Cuts. That is literally what I see happening to the Trump presidency. It is going to be little cut after little cut after little cut. And they are going to start snowballing and becoming just, he is not going to be able to manage it, spin it, control it. And that's going to be interesting, but it is also going to be a time of really maximum danger, because when he gets like crazy like that, he is so out of control. Nobody around him seems to be able to control him, to rein him in. And so, buckle up. It's going to be a bit of a bumpy ride, but take comfort from the fact that it absolutely does not appear that he has a snowball's chance in hell of being elected and being in the White House after the 2020 elections. So, thank you very much for finding me. I hope you found this helpful or insightful or just entertaining. Please don't hesitate to leave your comments. I'm really enjoying them. And I look forward to seeing you again really, really soon. Be well now. Bye-bye.